What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a 2024 EP by Jeffree Star. Basically, this project is called Lollipop Killer, and it came out in the fall. Basically, this product is called Lollipop Killer, and it came out in the late summer of 2024. So the thing about this particular product here is just the fact that Jeffree Star had taken a number of years off after a few of his hit projects from 2012 and 2013. Particularly, a lot of these were kind of more unreleased and kind of in unofficial type territory, but they still were comprised of some unofficial songs, or not unofficial, they were comprised of songs that he worked on around the cycle for his second album that was supposed to come out in 2011, 2012, and 2013. I think originally it might have been supposed to be called Lollipop Killer within some of those type pitches, but then I think it was actually supposed to be called Concealer as far as those pitches can happen. Now, I reviewed every Jeffree Star product with the exception of like a new remix EP that I found recently, but within the pitch behind it, Jeffree Star does actually have like 7 or 8 products as far as those pitches can happen. He's actually one of the more R&B type folk that I've reviewed pretty full blown within the pitch behind us. So some good type stuff here. This is another classic for Jeffree Star as far as those pitches can happen with it. It's an excellent type of stuff. The thing about it is this is actually celebrating the release of Jeffree Star's 15th anniversary of his Beauty Killer album from 2009. So it has 3 songs that are also on that deluxe edition that came out recently in the fall of 2024. But then on top of that, it has a couple of songs that were worked on around the 2012-2013 era when he was working on the Concealer album. So one of which is a single that never showed up on any products, and I'm glad that this particular song was finally released in like some degree of a project, which is the hit song Love to My Cobain, which is a pretty excellent type one. This vintage stuff that Jeffree Star was working on back in those particular album cycle days. And then a song from one of his unreleased products that was also, it's Mr. Diva is released in an EP type format that you can find if you look hard enough. It's within the pitch that's remastered on this particular product. It's a good type of be able to get that here. So that's one. There's some ones I want to say it might be on like I know that there's at least a couple products like Concealer and like the unofficial product Concealer, and then like Mr. Diva and some of those type of ones. There might actually be another one as far as those first gonna happen. I'll look that up real quick. Yeah, Virginity as far as those fairs gonna happen. So it's just with an aspect as far as talking about with the just with an aspect as far as saying, so this is a pretty sleek type project here to be able to get within the tone behind it. Definitely like the aspect, just typical Jeffree Star as far as those aspects going to happen with it. Just some blitzers. These new songs are just the same sort of flair that he had back in 2008, 2009, 2010 as far as those pitch can happen. It's just continued excellence. It's just the pitch behind it. I'm not really sure it's full bound if there was a single off this product, but I'm just going to assume that it was kind of Love to My Cobain because that was the attempted single back in like 2012, 2013. As the rollout for that particular second album was virtually going to happen, but just never got manifested properly within the pitch behind it. But there's some definite new stuff on here. Like there is a song with Yellow Wolf, which is pretty dope, some good type fare. There's the new edition of like Beauty Killer, which is a more country fried type edition that works extremely well. I like the pitch behind that, put some new spin on that. Hi, How Are You is a real vicious type song, so it's just a good pitch. Basically, yeah, this EP gets a 10 out of 10. So just being able to say, just look after here, it's the same sort of hot topic type vibe. But the thing about it in particular is just the fact that there kind of was like kind of like an opening in like the field of as to where Jeffree Star particularly was back in 2009, that once he vanished from the scene, it just kind of felt like there just weren't a ton of folks kind of doing like that alternative kind of pop rap type appeal, or alternative kind of pop music type appeal as far as this pitch can happen with it. Just a good type tone. Basically, apart from Blood on the Dance Floor, who dissipated after like the late 2010s, and then probably like a couple other folks, like Deuce doesn't really do that sort of thing anymore. There's just not really a ton of folks for when you think of some of that crunkcore type stuff. Crunkcore is just almost non-existent within these particular times, way out in 2024 as far as this pitch can happen. 2013, back when Jeffree Star was working on Concealer, it was still particularly around, but within the pitch behind it, it's not as if, there are folks like Scene Queen who does that particular stuff, and there's probably some other ones on there. It's a particular chica I'm thinking of that I can't remember that's pals with PD Plastic. I can't really remember her particular name. I might put it in the connotation later, but she's particularly someone that worked with. I get the feeling that Jeffree Star probably at least relatively might know who PD Plastic is. He's kind of within the same fashion as as Jeffree Star is within the fair, but it's just kind of concept of these particular folk that have similarities to Jeffree Star just don't pop up as super commonly within the pitch. So it's kind of like an opening that just kind of has the aspect of just not being as commonly available within these particular vibes that's sorely missed within the concept of it. Just taking it back to the MySpace days of 2008, 2009, 2010, some of those particular type fairs, just a good aspect to kind of get some of these type flares. So it's very refreshing kind of see this aspect return. It's kind of within the aspect of having some further type stuff just within that hitting appeal. This for folks that remember those particular times from 15, 16, 18 years ago as far as this pitch can happen. So it's a good type tone. But so yeah, I just would have to say within the pitch behind it. So Love to My Cobain I'm going to treat as if this was a single, because this is basically like one within the pitch. This is like a song within a pitch that was initially intended to be like the lead single or one of the lead singles off of his second scrapped album as far as this pitch can happen. Once again, you can find even though that Concealer, the actual unreleased product that I reviewed back in 2023, is not actually available, you can probably just download those songs. I don't think Jeffree Star would too much give a damn about that particular prospect. I think most of these songs are not available digitally to download, so it's just in the pitch that they're just basically free songs. I look after it. So yeah, Love to My Cobain, which isn't a free song, but I think this is available for purchase, but it's just within the concept that it's finally on the product, which is some awesome stuff here. This is Love to My Cobain. It's like a drifting kind of vintage MySpace era kind of day shine to kind of get here to some of that typical kind of, it's kind of in between type moments within the pitch. When I say day shine, I look after the concept, but kind of like some makeshift type flair within the concept of like a typical kind of sunny day type gaze within the pitch is something that could probably be played 2:45, 3:15, 3:45 p.m. is like the work shift hours are starting to end, but it's just kind of within the pitch, mildly SFW, but also kind of within the pitch of having some EDM flavor kind of mixed in within the pitch behind it. It's a good song that hops pretty well within the pitch, so this feels ripped out like the EDM type days. It's the kind of MySpace era, kind of also EDM type craze, like the pitch of like 2012, 2013, some of those type pitches when that was a huge highlighted type thing within the pitch. Now, if you don't know full bound about Jeffree Star, he did kind of like dark EDM type music, which is definitely something on some of his unreleased products or the ones that are kind of more unofficial. Definitely has some of these blazers on here, like the Mr. Diva EP and other products like that. If you check out the Jeffree Star playlist on my channel, has some of these type dark EDM type moments. I want to say even a little bit of Beauty Killer kind of had that as well. Just some of these type pitches that basically were EDM type music, but just with the real nasty type flair about it to really get tore up to within some of those type pitches. So obviously this is a mild and vanilla type song compared to the stuff that Jeffree Star can typically viciously get turned up to, but it's just within fashion that still hops pretty well with a good sense. It's a good banner type single within a sense of just getting the initial kind of conduct to getting to know Jeffree Star as far as this pitch can have. So it is a nice one. Highlight here to be able to say that. Red Lipstick with Yellow Wolf is a real nice one as well. It's like a hella swamped kind of house party knock to kind of get here. Just good concept for that. Just the party next door kind of vibes about this particular one. Some of that standard ferociousness that I'd say, and this is like a TDFW type vibe to kind of get within the tone behind it. If you don't know what TDFW, turn down for what type vibe within the pitch. Just one of Lil Jon's craziest type songs within the pitch, turn down for what. Definitely within that same sort of aspect, that same sort of blitzing type of appeal. It's definitely some blackout type music to be able to get here within that sort of fashion. Probably one of the crazier type ones. Typical type format for Jeffree Star, easy enough. I mean, this is just a whopping type EP to be able to get, definitely worth the purchase as far as those pros going to happen just for songs like this. Just playing a good blitzers just like he was back in 2009, 2010. So it's excellent aspects for that. Hi, How Are You is a real nice one as well. It's like a super crank kind of jive cut to Hi, How Are You has like some super crank kind of jive as far as those pitches can happen. Just a good cut loose, I'd have to say. Some rave noise I would definitely feel like here. Good for like rave night pitches, so some of that type fare. Typical kind of crate. Yeah, this is some typical kind of Jeffree. Songs like typical kind of Jeffree Star Blitzfest as far as those pitches can happen. Just an overall hot song kind of get here. So it's just like the standard type fare. Really, you pretty much should just go on like a Jeffree Star spree and just fuck with pretty much all of his projects, whether it's unofficial or not, just to find a bunch of these, because these are just easy going kind of, these are just easy kind of typical blitzers to be able to have within the aspect of just really getting tore up to just within the fashion, especially nowadays. I mean, it's been a little bit since early 2023, late 2022 when I reviewed a bunch of these within those particular type formats. So obviously the concept of listening to these a lot more nowadays is just once again a sore. This is kind of a songs like this is particularly kind of sorely missed, just in the aspect of just having like some of these type crazes that just feel like this needs to be covered with a lot more aspects within the tone behind it. So it's just the aspects as far as saying that there. Definitely what has to suppose about that. I mean, I would say maybe possibly Scene Queen, maybe some folks like that. It's not as commonly known within the pitch behind it. There might be other kind of like hyper, I want to say the closest thing to Jeffree Star nowadays, it says within the genre of this album or EP off of Rate Your Music is this electro clash kind of pitches like that, which I think this within the concept of like hyper pop is pretty close to that. So I definitely would probably recommend Scene Queen as someone to go for if you like this particular type of music that this is not going to be as oftenly available from Jeffree Star nowadays. It's a good, nice one. Beauty Killer, the Wyoming edition, is a real good highlight as well. It's basically, this is the same song as Beauty Killer on like his 2009 album. It's just in a more, this is like a nice Heartland kind of sunset gaze to like a throwback kind of Jeffree Star hitter as far as this pitch kind of has. So it's just the format, just country fried, just within the pitch behind it, just has, kind of takes it to more of like a mid-tempo type vibe. The original song was a little bit more of like a mid kind of, a low, the original Beauty Killer was like a low, high tempo type song within the pitch behind it, but this one just has a little bit more of like a mid-tempo kind of disc gaze about this in the pitch as far as those pairs can happen. Just brings it to like more aspects where there would be country kind of night venue songs within the pitch. I still feel like this is a relative kind of social step out, but this kind of does it in like a more Heartland kind of stretch within the tone behind it. So it's good aspects, kind of get some of that there. It's good good after effect of Jeffree Star having like some good blitz type appeal as far as those flavors kind of have them with a good type tone. And then Mr. Diva is a quality one as well. Now this is one I've talked about in the past. I don't know if I talked about it with the vivid type description that I do nowadays within the pitch, but I do remember I did review that particular EP back in like 2023 pitches like that, somewhere within that fair. So this is like a stock highlight from early 2010s. I'd have to say here, good type pitch for that particular era. Same sort of fashion as like the Love to My Cobain song within the pitch behind it. This is a nice jumper, definitely good shocker to be able to have for some of those aspects. It's a real spiffy night as far as those pairs can happen. So just a good, real nice glamour within the particular aspects about this song, just the fashion behind how this particular goes. Jeffree Star is kind of a fashionista within the pitch behind it, so it's just typical type night for some of that type fair, just like the spaz out type fashion, just in a more spiffy type sense as far as those aspects can have. So just good type tone, easy kind of jumper. This is more of like a promo song type territory. I'd probably say this would be a good promo single to kind of throw in with Love to My Cobain as far as this fair is going to happen. Just that same typical type night within the fashion, but just a little bit more buzz noise about it. So it's good type tone for some of that. But yeah, this EP gets a 10 out of 10 just within the fashion. Social score I'll probably give like a 10 out of 10 as well. It's just a good conduct to be able to get these. Just the fact that Jeffree Star has not made music for as long as he hasn't, and this is the concept of being able to nail these particular ones. I'm not sure if these are leftovers. I mean, I want to say at least Beauty Killer Wyoming edition, but then I'd probably have to say Red Lipstick with Yellow Wolf is probably a recent one as well, just in the pitch. I just feel like these concepts of Jeffree Star being able to nail these moments just within the fashion of not commonly put out music, because it said on like some of his biographies that he abruptly kind of left music, so it's a good type pitch to be able to get some of these type moments and just have him be able to have that affluence like he did back in the MySpace days. Excellent type appeal as far as those pairs can have. So just good blitzer, just another classic in Jeffree Star's catalog as far as those pairs can have, and good type appeal. Would not pay attention to the flack. If you see standard critics when they say that this is just like a plock or something like that, I wouldn't pay attention, because it's definitely the aspect. It's just kind of the concept. Crunk core tends to just get a bad rep within a lot of those pitches. It's just crunk core tends to get a lot of bad rep just within those pitches, but I would definitely say within the aspect of it, just the translation about it, just paying attention to like the viciousness. A lot of this is going to be pretty substandard and just usual routine kind of get tore up within the pitch. That just has a lot of overall heavy aspected kind of. A lot of this stuff has this over heavy aspected kind of quality in terms of like the viciousness and just the feral type altitudes that it reaches. So it's this good type concept, so I would have to say. So social score gets a 10 out of 10. In terms of the feature, this is the most recent Jeffree Star product. Came out approximately 6 months ago, just September 2024. So it's just in the pitch as far as saying some good type stuff here. Now basically you could think, well, are you going to review like the Beauty Killer Deluxe Edition with the 3 extra songs? Well, basically the 3 extra songs on the Beauty Killer Deluxe from 2024 are the same 3 songs that are on here. In addition to that, you get Mr. Diva, which is kind of you get Mr. Diva again, which is also on some of his tougher to find EPs, pitches like that, and then you get the unreleased kind of Love to My Cobain single that's kind of like a float around kind of single, but not actually on a product. So it's just good type pitch. I figure I'd cover all these in one fell swoop as far as this pitch can have, but it's excellent type fair to be able to get here. Classic Jeffree Star just with the pitch. Just takes back to MySpace days, pitches like that, some of those EDM type days, some of those type fairs. Good excellent aspect and easy enough to invest in as far as those fairs are going to go.